What up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Shinobi Squad podcast. I'm your special guest host, Future Trunks.
And I'm just regular Shana Mostella.
You're not just regular, you're Shana Mostella.
Shana Mostella.
Own that shit. Once again, as you guys can see, I'm in cosplay. Another day of shooting more TikToks for the podcast. This outfit's very appropriate. I'm dressed in anime, so it's a great segue to today's topic. We're going to talk about how we discovered anime. It's always interesting to me how anime comes into people's life. I've known Shauna for years, but I don't think I've ever asked her how she got into anime. Mm-hmm. So I'm just throw a few questions your way. What was the first anime you saw?
The first one I saw had to have been when I was really, really little. I was watching Sesame Street, going through the whole PBS lineup. Mm-hmm. After that was done, I was kind of bored, so I just started channel surfing, looking for something else to watch, because I was the only child and I had nothing to do.
Yeah.
So I was clicking through channels, and I happened to find this beautiful, gorgeous animated goddess. Basically, yeah. She was tall, had long legs, long hair. She was spinning around in a circle and magically changing her clothes. Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, what is this? And she was all doing the peace sign. Yeah. I think that's where I got it from, because in all of my toddler pages, I'm always doing the peace sign.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah. Anyways, so it turns out this magical girl was Sailor Moon.
Oh, okay.
So after seeing her, I was just hooked. I wanted more. I wanted to know more about her. I wanted to be like her, because she was fighting crime, looking all glamorous and everything. So I might have only seen a few episodes of that before channel surfing another day and just couldn't find it anywhere.
Yeah.
I never knew what had happened to her. I'm like, no, where's my magical, beautiful girl?
That's a hell of a transition from Sesame Street, flip the channel, then it's Sailor Moon.
Yeah.
You go from learning how to count with the count 1 2 to this girl spinning around naked and transforming and fighting bad guys.
It was so different.
I'm sure it was. Imagine if your mom had walked in oh, Shauna's okay. She's watching Sesame Street. She goes in the kitchen to get you a snack, and she comes back, and then there's this half-naked white girl. She would have had a heart attack.
Exactly. Maybe that's what had happened to her, because after seeing her a few times, I just never saw her again. And I was so mad, because finally something I can watch that was so much cooler.
I'm sure you weren't the only one that went from Sesame Street to Sailor Moon. Someone's parents walked in and got pissed. Who is this tramp? Who is this tramp wearing this mini skirt, kicking and fighting crime? Mm-hmm. They called the networks and had Sailor Moon removed.
They took my girl away. Mm-hmm. I was so pissed.
You can't go from Sesame Street to crime-fighting floozies.
And then shortly after that, I happened to see Cardcaptor Sakura. Mm-hmm. And it was kind of like the same thing. She was wearing kind of the same outfit, but it wasn't the same.
Yeah,
I didn't like that. She was still fighting crime and doing the most and doing magic and whatever, but it just wasn't Sailor Moon.
I'm sure you went back to Sesame Street damn it, Big Bird, transform or something. Do something.
Kill somebody.
Kill somebody. Could you imagine if Big Bird was just walking down the street killing people? Yo, these are my Sesame Streets, son.
That's his hood.
It really is.
He should have bossed up.
He was the big man on the block.
Big B.
Yo, that was Big Bird's block for real.
Oh, yeah.
Big B.
Big B.
I'm sure we can talk about the hood ties of Sesame Street, but, we won't get into that. So,
wrong kind of animation.
Yeah, right. Are you sure this was a kid's show, or was this a hood show? The first show
Sesame
about the
Hood.
streets. Yeah. It had the word streets in there, so maybe there's some subliminals in there.
Maybe. Teaching kids how to hold their block down.
Right? I mean, that's what it was, because Oscar the Grouch was always in the trash.
Yeah.
He was always holding down his trash, and you kept kind of seeing people do the same thing, so everyone had their role.
He was a neighborhood watch. Nobody expected him to come out of a trash can.
Yep. Yep. And the Count, low key, I think the Count was a drug dealer.
Oh, yeah.
That's why he was so good at counting.
I know.
He was counting them grams and ounces. 1 ounce, 2 ounce,
Oh,
I mean, it makes sense. The Count, Dracula, he stays up late night.
I know.
You don't see him during the day. And when do drug deals go down? At night.
Oh, my God.
All right.
We're ruining people's childhoods.
But that's enough about that. We're talking about anime. Let's see. What was my first anime? But first off, quick disclaimer. When I say first anime, I mean literally the first one you saw and knew it was anime. Not the first one you started like watching like a series, but the first time you saw an anime. And I'm talking about when you saw an anime and knew it was anime. I know some weebs like to flex their anime credit. Be like, I first saw anime when I was 2. No, your dad had it on TV. You happened to be in the room.
On HBO.
Yeah. You didn't know it was anime, so that shit don't count. I'm talking about when you watched a program and you knew damn well it was anime. Now that we got that clarified. My first anime, it had to be Sailor Moon as well. My boy Akuma-jin, cartoon fanatic. Thundercats, Transformers, He-Man. He loved all that 80s shit. He discovered Sailor Moon. It was some like school break. It was either like winter break or something. And I was sleeping over at his house. He was like, dude, there's this show that comes on at 4 a.m. We got to watch it. I'm like, okay, sounds cool. Whatever. He's like, no. We got to watch it. This is like Japanese animation. It's going to blow your mind. Okay, cool. Whatever. Being kids, we stayed up like all night. We just stayed up playing video games or whatever. I'm thinking we're not going to wake up. 3:30, this dude wakes up to make sure he's ready for Sailor Moon to come on. He wakes me up. He's like, dude, it's about to come on. It's about to come on. I'm half asleep. We had stayed up till maybe 2 a.m. Like, we were up late. I'm thinking it's going to be ultra gory or super action-packed. I'm thinking it's going to be the most badass Japanese cartoon of all time. Half asleep. I'm trying to watch it. And I see this really dorky kid wearing a tuxedo. Just what he was doing and what he said just stuck with me for the rest of my life after that. There was this kid named Melvin. He was kind of like, what would you say he was in the show?
He was Sailor Moon's best friend, dorky best friend who's always friend zoned.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's exactly what he was. The friend zone guy that was just in love with Sailor Moon or whatever, right? I guess he finally bossed up and dressed up as the male hero in that show, which is Tuxedo Mask. Anyway, so Melvin finally dressed up, and there's some fight scene, and he comes out, and he calls himself Tuxedo Melvin. And he's like, I'm going to throw these spicy shrimp in your eye. And I'm like, you woke me up at 4 a.m. to watch some nerdy kid throw spicy cocktail shrimp in the bad guy's eye? And I'm just trying to process, like, what made you think this was the most badass shit ever? I'm just sitting here pissed at him. Like, why are we watching this?
Right.
He's like, dude, look at the art style. Look at da. He was getting super anime nerd on me. And I wasn't ready to hear, like, the technical reasons why he liked it. I'm like, dude, you woke me up so we can watch a bunch of high school girls fight crime in mini skirts. I'm like, you're a perv. And
oh my God.
throwing spicy shrimp, that's a waste of food. So I was pissed. And then I tried to watch Sailor Moon a couple more times with him, but I just couldn't get into it. So I just said, you know what? 1 and done, or 2 and done. And also, it came on so early. But that's not even the best part. Going back to school the following Monday when school was back in, trying to explain to people what we spent our vacation time doing. Akuma, Jin, and me are just like, oh, dude, we stayed up. And then we woke up at 4 a.m. and we watched this show, right, where this guy throws spicy shrimp in the bad guy's eyes and these girls twirl in a circle and they're naked and they transform. People are looking at us like, you guys are crazy and you're pervs. Like, why are you waking up to watch cartoon girls?
I know. It's like, you guys are already nerds.
I know. This was during a time where anime was not mainstream. So just imagine what our peers were thinking. Like, you guys are losers.
It was cartoons.
It was bad enough that we were already those cartoon nerds anyway. But to tell the Sailor Moon story, nah. Whatever cred we had was gone.
So for you, you saw Sailor Moon at around 4:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
The wee hours of the early morning.
It would come on during the weekday, and it was on one of those channels that you didn't have to have cable to get, like either Fox or ABC.
Maybe that's where I saw it, and maybe that's where it went, because I saw it after PBS was done showcasing for the day, and Sailor Moon popped on somewhere, on some channel. I don't even know, but maybe that's where it went.
I'm telling you, it's those parents that drove Sailor Moon away.
Because I swear I saw it, I was into it, and then it was gone out of nowhere, and I never knew what happened to it until I grew up.
You know, parents don't want us to enjoy those kind of things.
My mom, luckily for me, never saw that or happened to see me watching it because she was at work, but I was still mad. I was very mad that I couldn't watch Sailor Moon anymore. Because I was not staying up at that time of night
Yeah.
watching that at my age.
Yeah.
My little wee Shana age.
What would you say was like the first series you started watching? Like something you started watching, like seriously. Like, yeah, Sailor Moon, we both kind of saw it, but then it kind of fell off. But
Yeah. I would have to say Pokemon. Pokemon is what really planted the seed for the rest of my life, being into all the nerdy stuff and all the anime stuff and all things Japanese.
yeah.
I watched Pokemon from the very first episode all the way up until I don't even remember. Like they had started with the original Pokemon, and then they had a different season that was
Yeah.
in a completely different area in the world of Pokemon, and I watched it all. I am not shameful to say I have watched all of Pokemon.
Damn.
I've seen Pokemon, and that's what I meant by it's planted the seed is because that's also what got me into gaming too.
Yeah. Double whammy.
Because right after I saw the show, the game, that's where I got my first Game Boy. I had my Game Boy. I bought Pokemon Red. I had a black and white Game Boy. It had no color or anything, but I was just so into Pokemon.
Yeah.
And I got all of the merchandise. I got the Pikachu backpacks, Pokemon cards, you name it, I had it.
Yeah.
And I've seen every episode. I know everything there is to know about
Yeah.
Pokemon. So yeah, Pokemon was the one that I just stuck with. And I'm still stuck with it because now that Game Boys are done, I have a Switch.
Yeah.
And all the Pokemon games that came from the Switch, I have those
Yeah,
too.
yeah, yeah. For those that want to hear more about our Pokemon history
Oh
and
my God.
how Pokemon got us in trouble, we actually did a whole ass podcast about
Yes.
our relationship with Pokemon and
Watch
how
that.
it got us in trouble as young youth.
Oh,
so
yeah.
so check out that podcast. I believe it's titled "Pokemon Got Me in Trouble." So yeah, it's like a few weeks back, but y'all can find it.
It's my favorite podcast episode because Pokemon was the apple of my eye.
Yeah.
It was the center of my heart. It's the epitome of my childhood. Like, it's
Yeah.
what made me who I am today.
Yeah.
So, Pokemon, I love you. Thank you for being with me all of my life.
Even though we made a whole ass podcast about just Pokemon, she still has so much more to
Oh, yeah.
say about
yeah.
Pokemon. So
But
that's
the
true
anime
love.
that I watched completely that really started my anime rabbit hole.
Yeah. I thought I had an easy answer for this because at first I was going to say Pokemon was a series I started watching regularly, but now that I think back, Akumajin was the man for anime. We lived in an area where you couldn't get the channels that showed anime, but even like back then, they weren't really showing anime like that anyway. Akumajin would have to go buy them. He would go to the Best Buys or just the music store at the time. I forgot even what it was called back then. He had to buy the animes by the episode. They were like $30-$40 for maybe 3 episodes.
Wow.
Before Akumajin started buying series, he was buying anime movies. That's what he was doing. We watched a couple movies. I believe one of the first movies he bought was Fatal Fury or Ninja Scroll. I forgot which one came first, but we watched Ninja Scroll over and over again. Quick side story about Ninja Scroll. First off, it's like a very violent kind of anime, but there's this one scene. There's this big rock creature. He's like a bad guy, and he kind of has sex with this girl.
What the
Yeah,
hell?
it's bad.
How? If you're a rock demon,
Yeah,
what?
yeah. It's like a really bad, dirty scene. We invited over this kid, this super wholesome, church-going
No,
kid.
You did not.
Yeah, and then we're like, hey, have you ever seen Ninja Scroll?
Oh shit.
He's like, what's Ninja Scroll? Like, this kid didn't even swear. He didn't even swear, right?
You ruined this kid's life. I'm just waiting for the story.
All right. So we're watching through Ninja Scroll, and people are getting their heads cut off, and people are just dying, and just the violence. He's just like speechless. He's just like,
I'm not supposed to watch stuff like this.
he didn't say anything. We wish he even said that.
Wow.
He's just sitting there watching it. We get to that scene where this rock guy has sex with his girl.
He probably doesn't even know what sex is. Damn.
I never even thought
You
about that.
ruined this poor child's
I
life.
never even thought about that. No, hold on.
This is great.
Don't make me laugh. Hold on.
Okay.
He's watching it, and this girl takes her clothes off or gets her clothes ripped off. I forgot what happened. It's been so long. And this is when he finally started making noise. So the rock guy's having sex with this girl, and then this dude's like,
Oh no. What? You broke him. You broke him.
it's like that noise he was making evolved from
What the hell?
my
What the hell?
God, I wish I had like video called Akuma Jin in for this because we have never forgotten this moment.
What
This
did
kid
you do?
was destroyed.
Was he crying? Did he cry at all?
No, he enjoyed it because he's never seen anything like it. And then for weeks at school, he was like, "Hey, can I come over and watch Ninja Scroll?
Oh my god.
Boobies and rock guy."
You turned him into a pervert.
He's like, the rock guy had sex with the girl with the boobies,
He's probably locked away in jail somewhere.
rocking back and forth in the corner.
Oh god.
And when I say he was wholesome, he was super wholesome.
Did you get a call from their parents?
No, his parents never talked to us. But
I wonder why.
But I think at some point later down the line, he was told he wasn't allowed to hang out with us. And he just told us that his parents said we were bad influences.
What? Oh my god. You guys were those kids. Those bad kids.
We weren't trying to be bad. He just came over like he was like the new kid at school.
Oh,
so,
come on. Y'all knew that he was vanilla.
So, we were just trying to share our love of anime with him.
Oh my god.
Anyway, so that's a random side story about someone else's first time watching anime. Every time I think about Ninja Scroll, I think about that kid. And I think about him just being traumatized
Wow.
from
Well,
cartoon sex.
he seemed like he liked it, so
Yeah.
maybe not traumatized.
Oh my God.
He probably loves hentai now.
Right?
What else is there?
He probably draws hentai on the walls of his jail cell.
Or maybe he's like a very successful hentai artist
Maybe.
living in Japan somewhere. Who knows?
Or maybe he has someone locked in his basement.
Oh, Jesus.
We don't know because we lost touch with him. So Akuma Jin bought a bunch of movies. I checked a couple of them out. But I think the first series I started watching was Akuma Jin picked up Trigun. I remember I was marathoning through all his episodes of Trigun at his house. Because like I said, he was the anime guy. So anyone that wanted to watch anime would go to his place.
Mm-hmm.
And just being over there, we watched Trigun until he ran out of episodes. I didn't really get into it though. Gasp. I know anime fans are like, how did you not get into Trigun? Well, if you didn't like that, you're also going to not like, I didn't get into Cowboy Bebop either.
I didn't either.
Akuma Jin had that, and he loved Trigun and Cowboy Bebop.
Uh-huh.
Just back then watching it, I just didn't really get into it.
I started watching it, but then I just never kept up with it.
Yeah.
So to me, like Cowboy Bebop, though it is a very throwback,
Yeah.
you had to watch it kind of anime. I just never really got into it.
Yeah, those are probably the first two series I was watching regularly because I was going to Akuma Jin's house all the time.
Mm-hmm.
The first anime that I did watch regularly, like religiously, that I really did enjoy was Pokemon as well.
Okay, so it brings it all back to Pokemon.
Yeah, so we're kind of like 2 for 2, Sailor Moon and Pokemon. Yeah, I was obsessed with Pokemon as soon as I started watching it. But if you guys watch the Pokemon podcast, you'll know
find
why.
out.
Yeah, you'll know why.
You'll see where it led us.
Yeah, Pokemon was that series I watched start to finish. Couldn't wait to watch it after school.
Yeah.
Then after that, I transitioned into Dragon Ball Z.
Okay. So you got a little bit more adult.
Yeah,
You
I got
grew
a
up
little.
a little
I mean, if you call Dragon Ball Z adult,
I
it's
mean,
like
I've never really gotten into that one either. I've never really seen Dragon Ball Z, to be honest, but
yeah,
it's
you
either
kind
you
of
watch Sailor Moon or Dragon Ball Z, I guess.
you kind of saved yourself wasting a lot of time because when Dragon Ball aired on TV in those early days, they showed all the fillers. You would see a fight scene start,
Mm-hmm.
maybe in cartoon time, a minute of fight went by, but it took 20 episodes for that 1 minute to get by.
Yeah.
It's just nothing but flashbacks and storytelling. It's like, God, are they finally going to fight? And then they'll stop mid-fight and go train. Like, that was early Dragon Ball. I mean, that still is Dragon Ball to this day, to be honest. Trigun, Cowboy Bebop, and Pokemon was the one that I was like, I love anime. And then Dragon Ball, because why I never really got into Trigun and Cowboy Bebop. I wasn't really into like gun anime, where they shoot guns. I like the martial arts kind of stuff.
Right.
So when I saw Dragon Ball and they were just fighting like crazy, I'm like, I jizzed my pants. Oh my God. I was like, they're fighting so fast.
Because Pokemon was no Dragon Ball Z. They didn't fight like that.
Yeah, that's true. But for some reason, I just loved Pokemon. It was just that shit.
Pokemon was that one, though. I'm talking like every Saturday morning before my mom and I went to the laundromat. She let me watch an episode of Pokemon on Saturdays.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was just that hardcore. It was like a religious thing.
Yeah.
Even my mom was in on it. She's like, did Pikachu win a battle today? I'm like,
Aw.
yeah, he did.
My mom was not supportive. She's like, why are you watching this kid shit
What the
for?
hell is this?
Yeah, she's like, it's a cartoon. And then when it finally transitioned to Dragon Ball, she was still like, why are you watching a cartoon?
Oh my God.
She didn't understand, nor did she care. Dragon Ball finally made me upgrade from that Pokemon backpack to a Dragon Ball Z backpack. And I'm sad. I don't know what happened to it. I had a black and purple backpack with Goku on it. I have no idea what happened to it. I still have that Pokemon backpack, but the Goku backpack is like long gone. And I've been sad about that like ever since. I always like to ask this question. How did you acquire your anime? Like, how did you get it to watch? This is interesting to me because there's a lot of people who don't remember anime before Crunchyroll and these streaming services. So I'm always curious, like, what did you have to do to feed your addiction?
Well, for me, it started with Blockbuster because I'm like, well, this is a place I go to. And I started to be curious, like, do they have an anime section? Because I didn't have cable at the time. So getting my media was always just either Blockbuster or Blockbuster. So
Wait, for those younger audience members, let's explain what Blockbuster is one more time. It's like a red box, but a whole ass store. You used to have to actually walk into a building that had all your movies and video games.
Yes, kids, I'm that old.
It's a red box that's an actual store. Okay, go on.
So
Blockbuster. My brain just processed you saying that.
I was still pretty young. I was just busting into my teenage years.
Yeah.
And I was looking through their anime section. I'm like, wow, this is like a section of a store I've never really thought about or actually really seen. So I think the first one that I picked up, I can't think of the name of it. Forgive me for those of you who are like hardcore anime fans, but the one with the he had red hair and a ponytail and the X on his cheek. I forgot what the name of it was.
It was either called Rurouni Kenshin or Samurai X, depending on...
Samurai X, there you go. I should have thought of that. He's just like a samurai and the X on his face. Anyway, so I picked that one up. I picked up Berserk. I picked up something else. I don't even know. It was like... I think it was borderline hentai, if I'm not mistaken, because Blockbuster didn't know what they were doing with their anime section. They kind of just put whatever was cartoony in the anime section. Mm-hmm. So that's probably where I saw my first hentai. But anyways,
it took them a while to even like market like 18 plus.
Yeah. So because I'm sure they've never even seen it or even bothered to look at it to even see. But so anyway, I picked those up, watched them, wasn't really too intrigued by them or anything. It just kind of seemed like, I don't know, it wasn't my taste. So
VHS tapes, weren't they?
Actually,
were they DVDs yet by then?
I think they were DVDs by then.
Lucky you.
So I went through my Blockbuster phase with anime, but it just didn't hit well. They didn't have what I liked at the time. Shortly after that, we did end up getting cable. Yeah. And something called Toonami was on the air on, I think it was Cartoon Network. And that's where I happened to watch Naruto. Yeah. And I just loved it. It was just something about the formula of the show and how it rolled. It was like these badass kids raised as ninjas, and it was like the tuning exam that really had me like hooked. The tuning exam was like epically amazing. I loved it. I watched that shit religiously.
Oh yeah, because when you break down the tuning exam, they pretty much threw a bunch of junior high kids in the forest and they had to kill each other.
And at
to
the
pass
same,
the test.
yeah, and at the time I was kind of the same age as Naruto around that time. So I'm like just watching this, like, whoa, they're just like me. Like I could go to Konoha and I can be a ninja. So it really had me hooked, and I just started watching that, and then
Was it the English dub?
yeah,
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
because yeah, they didn't put anything Japanese on Toonami.
I don't know how you even made it past the first couple episodes. Just a quick side note with me and Naruto. I did see the original English release. I hated Naruto's voice. As much as I love ninjas, I watched like 4 episodes and I stopped.
But you have to keep in mind, anime back then didn't come out just like that.
Yeah.
It was dubbed already
Yeah.
for American audience.
Yeah.
And unfortunately for me, I guess, I was just always used to the English dub.
Yeah.
So then when I actually got into actual anime and they were all in Japanese, I'm like, wait, what? So imagine my surprise.
Yeah.
But
Like, what? You speak Japanese?
well, I knew it was Japanese,
Yeah.
but you know what I mean. Comcast was a cable company, and they had their own streaming service called On Demand.
Yeah.
So then I started going through that because Blockbuster was crap, and I didn't like that anymore. So I started like looking at all the free stuff they had on Demand because all that stuff you had to pay for, but there
Yeah.
was a section on there with anime that was all free, and I'm like, cha-ching! I found this show called Ghost in the Shell.
Uh-huh.
And just the intro alone got me even further down the rabbit hole because if you guys have never seen Ghost in the Shell, it's just very fantasy.
Yeah.
The song is in Russian. It's
Yeah.
like it's
Yeah.
so cool, and I've just never heard stuff like that or seen anything like it. Something that I have always been dreaming of is now in front of me on my
Yeah.
TV, and I was just all into it. I'm like, oh my god, I'm like trying to sing along to the song. It was great.
Yeah,
And-
Ghost in the Shell was an anime way before Scarlett Johansson made
yeah.
a movie about
yeah.
it. For you young kids out there.
If you wait a little bit longer after Toonami stopped airing and you waited until about like 10 o'clock, Adult Swim came on.
Oh,
and that was a whole nother forest full of anime. I had never left my TV. I was
Yeah.
just glued the entire night.
Okay. You didn't have to struggle too much for anime.
It just happened. Like, it pretty much just fell on my lap. You just have to know where to look.
Yeah, well, lucky you. Well, let me tell you the struggles of a boy from West Michigan that lived in the country. Or 2 boys, if I throw a Kumajin back in the story. We lived in an area where we didn't get cable. You had to have satellite.
Uh-huh.
Even when you had satellite. It didn't work half the time because satellite sucked back in the day. Your parents didn't always get the channels that had stuff you wanted to watch. How we consumed anime? Well, I already said Akuma Jin was the guy to go buy it. Eventually, that got expensive. Blockbuster was our next haven, just like you. We went and rented everything Blockbuster had to offer and watched it all, good and bad. Then came the underground anime network where you would find other friends that had anime and you would trade, be like, hey, I got this if you let me borrow that. We were never fortunate enough to ever find like an anime club. We used to hear stories of certain schools and anime clubs. We were in the country. We barely had electricity. Like, you know, it's just like, anime club. Our Blockbuster and our Best Buys barely even had a big anime section as well.
Right. You had people to trade with, and you're saying that I'm spoiled. I didn't have anybody to trade with or even talk to about it because they all thought I was crazy.
But when I say trade with, it was one of like Akumajin's best friends. There were like 2 other people that started buying anime. The biggest game changer for me in consuming anime was when people figured out you could start downloading it from LimeWire.
I didn't even think about that. And I had LimeWire at some point growing up, and I just never thought of that.
Oh yeah.
My God.
Once we couldn't afford to buy any more episodes, or once they didn't have any more, because eventually the stores would only get so far. It'd be like, no, I need to know what happens
Yeah,
next.
they would only have like season 1, maybe like season 4.
Yeah, just exactly.
Half of season 5.
There would be big jumps. Then we finally had internet, but we had like dial-up internet. You know, we had that free ass AOL 90-day trial shit. It used to take you 6 years just to download one episode, right? And then you would download an episode and watch it on your computer screen, but it'd be such low quality. It'd be like a 2-inch box, and you like staring at it, and it'd be in like Japanese, so you can't even read the subtitles. It'd be like, shit, you got a few good episodes in, but back in those days, you got what you got, and you also got a bunch of viruses with it.
Right.
Obviously, that didn't last too long, because you would spend all day downloading something, and it'd be in Japanese, they have no subtitles, and you just kind of
Pixelated.
yeah, you would just watch it and just kind of nod your head, or you would just get someone's dick pics. It's like people were evil because they knew weebs were out there trying to download anime, so they would just upload their dick pics and just title it Dragon Ball Z finale, and it's
Oh,
be like, oh,
wow.
it's a dick pic. Then YouTube started happening. Y'all don't know the struggle until you're on YouTube trying to watch one episode that's broken into like 6 parts. Because back in the day, YouTube videos could only be so long. But early YouTube, you were lucky to get maybe like 5 minutes of one episode. You'd also be lucky if it was even subtitled or in English.
Yeah.
Or sometimes you would get like an episode that was dubbed in like Spanish with English subtitles.
I waited an hour for this.
And your mind would just be blown like, I just can't see these characters speaking Spanish.
Exactly.
Especially when like the first episode you watch was Japanese with English subtitles. Or the best one would be like Spanish audio, Chinese subtitles with English subtitles on top.
Oh,
So someone subbed over a sub that was already dubbed.
Oh, wow.
But that's what you had to do to watch it.
Yeah, sometimes it was worth it too.
Oh yeah, like sometimes you wouldn't ever get those episodes.
Right.
That's how I had to consume anime in the early days before Toonami and all that stuff. Even when it took me a while to finally move out the country and get cable. But even then, it's just like that week-to-week shit was a struggle, especially when you're watching a show like Dragon Ball Z or something like One Piece that has a million fillers.
Yeah, because Adult Swim also introduced me to Bleach, which is the king of side quests
of
and
seasons that don't make sense.
Yeah, training segues and Ichigo just training for like 3 seasons, and you never get to see what happened after that. It's like
It took a long time before Crunchyroll and streaming sites came around. Once the internet got good, you would still have to like search random anime hosting sites.
Yeah.
But it would just be so-and-so anime page. But when you click on the video, it's either someone's uploaded YouTube video or it's just deep-rooted into a different page. But half the time, those pages would get shut down. So you'd watch one episode, click the next one, but the hosting site got shut down.
Right.
That discouraged me from watching weekly anime for the longest time.
Right.
Because you would get into it and then you would hit a vital point and then the hosting site got shut down.
Or sometimes the hosting pages, like not even hosting pages, but they had these different streaming sites like Hulu and whatever, but it was meant for just anime.
Yeah.
And sometimes you would finally get that and they wouldn't have the anime that you actually want to finish. They would have everything else. Like, this is just as good. No, it's not. I want to see Ichigo fight somebody now.
Yep. Oh my God.
The struggle was real with
Those
anime.
struggles, I know. And now you can get anime on Netflix.
You can get it anywhere.
Everywhere. Every streaming service has some kind of anime. And they even start to have their own exclusive anime now.
Right.
Which is crazy. It's like Netflix is making their own anime. Amazon Prime's got their own exclusive. It's just like...
Yeah, it's everywhere.
Yeah. Like,
and I'm so jealous.
Yeah, right? It's like now that I'm an adult, I don't have time to binge all these things anymore.
Oh, yeah.
Back in the day, you would sit there all week just to get one episode.
Yeah.
However you got it.
Or if you happen to watch something on TV, but they keep playing reruns and it never like expands further.
That week to week TV shit.
Yeah,
I couldn't do it.
you wait all week because I remember it was the tuning exam for Naruto, and they finally got towards the end of the tuning exam, but then they just kept playing reruns like leading up to the tuning exam. I'm like, what happens after the tuning exam?
That's painful.
It was so painful. Toonami had no love for keeping up with the anime. They just like, this is what we got, so we're just gonna keep showing it until we just run out of ideas.
God, speaking of fillers, that just brought me back to Kumajin. Like, I don't know how he used to spend money on Dragon Ball tapes, and most of them were fillers.
And that's another thing. It was just so expensive. Even if you just ran out of options and all you have to do is buy it. As a kid, you don't have money like that. I didn't have money like that. I didn't have $30 for every DVD that I could get my hands on.
Especially for us, we had to go on a whole ass journey.
Yeah.
It was like the Oregon Trail just to get somewhere to buy anime because, like I said, we lived in the country. Our parents only went to town to get groceries. So to convince them to go half hour, 45 minutes just so we can pick up some anime.
They're like, what's Best Buy?
They weren't going to do that. Yeah, exactly. They weren't going to do that shit for us. And then when stores got smart and started marking them rated R or must be 18, I remember paying strangers money to go pick this up for us. They're like, we're not 18. Can you buy this for us? $30, $40 was already bad enough for a copy of anime. Then to pay more money on top of that.
You have to get your own drug mule.
Pretty much.
But hey, at least you were buying anime and you weren't buying drugs or alcohol.
Exactly.
So that was your anti-drug. You
Yeah,
can thank anime for keeping you off the
but
streets.
sometimes drugs may have seemed like a cheaper option.
Oh my god! You know what? It actually was because anime and manga was always expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Always. It still is.
Facts.
And I still refuse to buy it.
Mm-hmm. How else did you consume anime?
So I was really into sketching as a kid in middle school. I would always sketch these anime characters and everything like that. And I would always go to my friend's house who had internet, and I would print out anime pictures, not even knowing what the anime was from or what it was, what story it was from or whatever. I just printed out these anime pictures and just started drawing them all the time. And then it wasn't until one day browsing through the anime section again at Blockbuster, I happened to find this magazine called Shoujo Beat.
Oh, snap.
And so this magazine was pretty much my first manga because Shoujo Beat was a magazine for like girly kind of manga and girly anime and stuff like that. So they would print 5 or 6 stories within this magazine just full of manga. And then they also had like Japanese culture in the magazine. And it was just my haven. It was the thing that I look forward to every month because I'm like, okay, I found this magazine. I looked at the cover. I'm like, oh, is this for this month? So next month I'll come back and maybe I'll have another one. So I used to do that a lot. And then I would just read this thing religiously every day. Even though I read the stories all the way through and through, page to page, cover to cover. And I would just sit there and draw along with the art and everything while watching anime.
Yeah. Wow. What a weave.
I was one of
I'm
those.
going to draw anime while I watch anime.
I was one of those. I was so into it. But yeah, so Blockbuster, again, introduced me to something new. So when the magazine was talking about the culture of Japan and everything, then it kind of led me to other things like cosplay and all that. I happened to find out about Miyazaki movies through this magazine.
Yeah.
And then I happened to be channel surfing like years later after I found this magazine. And
you spent a lot of time watching TV.
I did. I was the only child. I had no one around me. My mom was very like overprotective of me, so I couldn't go out and make friends and go out and do things. So my anti-drug and what kept me off the street was manga and anime. Yeah. And that's all I spent my time doing. I would walk miles to the nearest bookstore and just read manga for hours and hours and hours. And one of those bookstores was called Borders, if you guys remember that. Borders. And that's exactly why Borders is out of business right now, because of people like me who used to just go there like, acting like it was a library or something. Yeah. But anyway, I happened to be channel surfing and saw they had this marathon going on with nothing but Miyazaki movies. And my brain exploded. So after watching all the Miyazaki movies, I just started going down this whole other rabbit hole of just buying merchandise. I was trying to buy kimonos. I went to Chinatown, bought like swords and all kinds of samurai gear. And my mom just thought I was crazy. She looked at me and I had my little parasols and my little Lolita dresses and everything that I bought. And she's like, "You are not my child. Who are you?" She's like, "I don't know anything about this. Like, I can't even talk to you about it because you're just off in Japan land and you just turned Japanese all of a sudden." My mom did not understand. The mall that I used to go to that was local in my city had this one store that sold a lot of like the Hello Kitty stuff and the Japanese everything, and they had Naruto headbands. Oh. And they were
the ultimate weeb symbol.
So I finally saved up all my money and bought a Naruto headband. Yeah. And I was like the coolest person in my head.
In my head.
When I walked down the hallways.
I was just about to say that.
When I walked down the hallways of my high school and everyone was looking at me like, "Who are you? Like, what is this?"
Is that a reflector?
I just had it across my forehead. And nobody understood it. But I was just proud.
Are you a crossing guard?
Are you supposed to be a samurai? I was proud. My shit did not stink. Like, I was just, I was the queen, okay? In my head, I was the coolest person in the whole wide world.
I never got into manga or drawing. Well, of course, I never went to stores like Barnes and Nobles or Borders. Mm-hmm. So, of course, I wouldn't see them anyway. Then when I did finally see them, I was like, holy shit, these are expensive.
Yeah.
I didn't know how my friends had bookshelves of manga.
I was going to say, you didn't miss much because they were very expensive.
Yeah, it took me back to the dark place of when we had to buy each episode. I'm like, nope, We already went through that. We've already spent $30, $40 for a couple episodes. We're not doing this in book form.
Oh yeah.
So I skipped the manga, even though I like to draw, and even though I used to buy comic books, I never bought manga. I used to draw comic book characters, but I never drew anime characters. That's wow, that's interesting now that I think about it.
Traitor.
Yeah, right? I used to love drawing.
You're
but
not a
for
real nerd.
Oh no.
You're just a fake.
The realization when you've been a fake weeb this whole time. Oh no.
Oh, I forgot to mention one important thing. So the Shoujo Beat, a magazine that I had as a kid, they had this feature in the magazine where artists can send in their their sketches from the magazine and everything, like of the anime. I sent in one of my little doodles,
Ooh.
and it got featured in the magazine.
Your doodle? Do you still have that
I still
issue?
do have it, but it's not with me here in California. But
Oh.
I do still have it, and it's my prized possession because my name was in the little print, and my little
Oh,
artwork was in the magazine. It was
You need to
the-
get that shit and frame it.
it was the best day of my life.
That
Oh
was
my
always
gosh.
one of my dreams. I used to always get this gaming magazine back
Mm-hmm.
in the day, and they would have like a featured art.
Mm-hmm.
And I always try to send my work in, and I never got featured. I'm so sad.
I used to do that with Game Informer magazine. Remember
Yeah,
that? And
yeah.
everybody used to do their little drawings and whatever. I sent in about 3 of them, and they never got picked.
For us, it was it wasn't Game Informer. It was like EGM, Electric Gaming Monthly.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that was the one that I was trying to submit stuff to, but they just ignored me.
Oh no.
Ignored me.
You need to go with the smaller magazine next time.
Yeah, because Game Informer was fairly new back then, but EGM was like
it was still
long
popular.
running. Yeah. Oh yeah, Game Informer got popular quick.
Mm-hmm.
I did have a heavy addiction with merchandise though. Once I got into the Pokemon phase, Pokemon merch all day long.
Uh-huh.
Again, already mentioned in the Pokemon podcast, but that was the start of my merch addiction. I would buy anything I could. Funny enough, my merch addiction quickly stopped when I started going to cons.
Yeah, because then you could buy all the exclusives. Oh
I
my God.
finally was in a place where there was unlimited merch.
Right.
And I was kind of like, I'm over buying merch. And also, it was expensive enough to go to cons. I was like, I can't afford this shit.
I know. Don't even get me started on that kind of merch. Oh my God.
So my ex loved Sailor Moon. So I was forced to revisit it now that I think about it. She loved it so much. For one of her birthdays, I bought her the entire like Doom Tree series. And I don't even know how many episodes it was, but it was a lot. So I was forced to watch every episode of the Doom Tree series with her. Then we started buying all kinds of Sailor Moon merch. So like my room was such a weeb room. And she kept her merch at my house because she didn't want like her nieces and nephews to destroy it. And funny enough, right? She had these like limited edition like Sailor Moon Barbies that were like, or Barbie type dolls. Spent like $40, $50 on them each.
I never got the dolls.
She saved them at my house. We were gone for the weekend. I think we went to go visit some of her family out of town, right? My mom gave the dolls away to like the local neighborhood kids.
Why?
She gave away a lot of our collectibles because I was really into Batman Beyond back then. So I had like all the first edition action figures.
Oh no.
And my mom just had her friends come over and bring their kids. And I come home and like the kids either just took them or they were all open because she let the kids play with them. I was so pissed. Like these things were like on shelves. They were tacked on
And
the
they
wall.
weren't open yet.
None of them were open.
Oh my God.
I was
My
like,
heart hurts.
Mom, these are on the wall. They're on display. And she's like, well, I didn't give them all away for free. I made some money.
What? And did she give you the money?
No. I was like, Mom,
After all that.
there was this action figure right here. How much did you get for it? I sold it for $5. Like, Mom, that cost
What?
like $25.
Oh no.
She's like, well, you should have told me then.
Did we have to tell you?
Exactly.
Oh my God.
Then she had the nerve to say, like, well, maybe you shouldn't be spending your money on action figures. I was like,
Mind
you
blown.
bitch.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I felt so bad for my ex. Like, those were her prized collectibles.
I would have cried.
Yeah. Like, those Sailor Moon dolls are, like, expensive now.
Yeah. And I never even had the dolls. I had maybe the tiara and her little saber or whatever, but not the dolls, man.
Yeah,
Now I
like
kind of
it's-
want to go back and look for them.
How would you say your taste of anime has changed since, say, like, the first year you watched anime to now? And what were your favorites then? And what are your favorites now?
My favorites, ones that were like true to my heart. I would say I really loved the Naruto art form, like the
Hmm.
shonen formula, you know. I love the fighting and everything and the ninjas and I love that. So, I think since then I haven't really grown out of stuff like that. Like
So your tastes haven't
my
changed.
taste really hasn't changed because I don't like how anime is going right now.
Yeah.
Forgive me for those who are fans of these kinds of shows, but I just don't like what's out right now. Nothing really captures my heart like how it used to. Except maybe Attack on Titan is one
Yeah.
of the big ones that I really love right
Yeah.
now. I know it's not that new, but like it's still going.
It's newer.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
newer.
It's not of like the old classics from like the early day where everyone's like, you gotta watch this from the 80s.
And it's more just about the story. It's
Yeah.
about the captivating characters. It's
Yeah.
about people that really make you remember who they are. And a lot of these anime that are out right now, I won't say just so none of y'all come to crucify me, but I've been watching some anime as of late, and it just nothing really sticks with me because nothing really has that story that I love. It's not something that grabs my attention.
Yeah.
So, but I still love the fantasy, like Ghost in the Shell kind of
Yeah.
esque and Miyazaki kind of story and stuff like that. I love that. I love the fantasy, the pure
Mhm.
fantasy of anime. I love horror, like Attack on Titan. I love
Mhm.
that. And fighting. I just
Yeah.
I love a
Yeah.
really good ass kicking.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
that's just me. So I guess my anime taste hasn't really changed since my very first anime.
Yeah.
I don't like the whiny, the crying, the super ditzy or super like raunchy kind of stuff. I don't like for things to be too childish and too
Yeah.
on the surface.
Yeah.
I like to delve down. Like I need you to dig me a hole
Yeah.
so that I can go head first into that hole
Yeah.
and just be stuck. That's what I like.
Yeah.
I don't like this on the surface, like, save me from a
Yeah.
demon. I don't like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's too just not there for me. I don't
Yeah.
know. A good one I could say Death Note
Yeah.
was a good one. Like I love philosophical, like in your head kind of
Yeah.
shit, you know, robot versus human kind of
But then you
stuff.
also like the dumb, silly, like One Punch Man.
Well, One Punch Man was good. It was written very well.
Yeah.
And it was a very entertaining
It was
anime.
fun. It was fun. Yeah.
But I don't like too much of the slapstick.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I slipped in a banana peel and now my bra's come off. It's like, ugh.
Or too much detail. I remember I tried to get you to watch Fate, and you were just like, "What are they talking about? Are they reading a textbook?"
If it's too wordy or if it's too like, I'm a princess stuck in a cave or whatever, and somebody has to come save me. But wait, there's a ninja that doesn't even know my name yet, and he has to come save me. But his father died in a car accident and a volcano explosion or whatever. And I'm like, what are you talking about,
Yeah,
girl?
you were so mad when you watched Fate. You were sitting there like you were taking a test. You were writing notes like, okay, so this person does this, and this is their history.
When they're going into a theme, right? But then they go, but wait, there's more, and it's like,
A side
okay, but
story
that's not
within a
what I mean.
flashback within a flashback.
Yeah, that's not what I mean by digging me a hole. It's just like make it make sense.
Yeah, yeah.
At the
Fate,
very least.
Fate was pretty wordy for me as well, and I just held on. I'm like, okay, the fight scene's gonna be awesome. It's well animated. Listen to them talk until it gets to that.
I guess a good example is Attack on Titan. They give you a lot, but then they explain it along the way, and it's
Yeah.
not as confusing
Yeah, yeah.
as Fate, where everything's just at you at once. It's like, oh wait, whose story is this again? Like,
Yeah.
who was talking just now?
The
What is-
pacing's
who's this?
better. Yeah, yeah.
Who are you over there? Like, you
Yeah, I
know?
get it.
Yeah, that's the kind of anime I like. If that makes sense to everybody.
Yeah, you just need a balance and good pacing. I think that's what it is. Because a lot of these shows that I try to get you to watch, they may have a good story, but how they pace it out,
And how they tell it.
bores the hell out of you. Yeah,
You
I
have to
feel
be a
that.
good storyteller.
Yeah, like you have to really want to watch that anime. I can't name a specific show that was my favorite back then. I just knew my taste. I just loved the ultra violence and the fighting. I love seeing people's limbs get chopped off. Like, yeah, just my little child heart. Just like, yeah, kill him, cut his dick off, cut
Oh
his foot
my
off. It was just things. That's why kids shouldn't watch that, because it just absorbs you.
Anime's not for kids. Let's just be real.
Yeah, and you just get into that violence. But now, I don't really care for just gory just to be gory. If there's no story to it, all the violence and fighting in the world means nothing. For me now, when it comes to anime, it needs to have a good story. At the very least, it has to have a good story. I can forgive pacing issues on some shows, but if the story sucks and it's over.
It has to have a good balance.
Yeah, it does, but sometimes I'm willing to forgive it as long as like the payout at the end is worth it.
Right.
But sometimes you don't know until you get to the end.
Mm-hmm.
Some of my favorite series to this day, I know people are going to laugh at me, but Naruto.
Yeah.
People want to talk shit and diss Naruto as a series just because people became Narutards.
Yeah.
That was the term for the Naruto weebs back in the day. Yes, the Naruto fandom gets kind of annoying at cons. That doesn't mean the show's a bad show. Yeah, you got to... Every fandom has stupid fans somewhere.
Right.
Naruto is still one of my favorite shows to this day. I just love the pacing and I love the history and character stories and how they relate to each other. It just goes so deep. Like I've watched certain episodes over and over again and I still get tears in my eye.
And I will say this, a newer anime that I actually really love is My Hero Academia, because it had the Naruto formula, so it was easy to like that one.
It did.
Yeah.
I liked it at first, but I'm kind of over it now.
What?
I can't even finish season 4.
Aww.
Season 1, 2, and 3, I was all in, had cosplays lined up. Now I'm watching season 4, and I don't know why. I'm just over My Hero. Even though it has that Naruto shonen formula, I'm just over it. I don't know why, but I still love Naruto because I went back and watched Shippuden.
Yeah.
And I'm still like, yeah.
Fairy Tail was like that too. Fairy Tail started off like Naruto, the same formula, but then like at some point I just stopped watching it and stopped caring about it because it just fell off.
Yeah.
It wasn't that good anymore.
But even though it's not anime, but it should be considered anime, Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yes.
Greatest series of all time.
It still is to this day.
Yep. 15 years old, and every time I watch it, it's still brand new to me.
I know.
It hits me in the feels, brand new every time.
You notice new things every time.
I don't care what anyone says. Best anime, hands down.
Yes.
It's not even anime, but it is in everyone's book.
It is. Just put it out there. Just put it in your heart already.
Yeah.
It's an anime.
It's like when you read the credits, you know damn well Nickelodeon didn't put that shit together.
It's not from here.
Nickelodeon licensed it and aired it, but none of those people work for Nickelodeon. I mean, I can't confirm that. I'm just saying.
Maybe Nickelodeon in a different country. But
Nickelodeon can't go from SpongeBob to Avatar. That's my ideal example of a perfect anime for me.
Me too.
Just the character progression. It hits you in the feels. The pacing was awesome. They had a balance of fun and serious.
Yeah.
I'm watching that right now.
Can we do a podcast about that already? Please.
Yes. It's the second time we've mentioned Avatar.
I'm just like
in another
dying
podcast. Yeah,
over
we
here.
definitely need to make a podcast, and I need to get on and figure out how to get guest people to join because I have someone that I would love to bring on. My homegirl, BFF Nekoyasha, who is a super Avatar fan, and she got some facts to throw back. So
me and her will probably go at it because I got some argument points for you.
It's probably a good thing that y'all are going to be separated because y'all are probably going to fight. Because as big as Avatar fans as you guys
Not
are.
in a bad way. Not in a bad way.
You probably guys are, you're going to scrap over your views.
Oof,
but anyways,
I'm ready though. I'm ready.
We're not here to talk about Avatar: The Last Airbender. We're not here to talk about Avatar: The Last Airbender, which is on Netflix. Go watch it. Hashtag not sponsored. Hashtag not sponsored. Go watch it. Greatest show on earth. I guess I can name a series, even though I'm dressed as Trunks. I don't really like Dragon Ball that much anymore.
Is it still on, or did it?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Dragon Ball has a new series out and stuff like that, like a modern series. I watched like a couple seasons of Dragon Ball Super. Like, it wasn't bad. I'm not saying it's terrible, but I'm just not into it anymore. Like, I'm kind of over that formula. Yeah. I mean, I still like Dragon Ball characters, and I still like the show for what it was, but I'm not going to go out of my way to watch weekly episodes. I waited like almost a year to watch the latest Dragon Ball. And when Dragon Ball Super came out, I didn't even care. I'm like, more Dragon Ball, whatever.
Yeah.
So I guess that's changed. Because I don't think Dragon Ball's ever had a good story. Sorry.
It was just something that came on when you were younger and it captivated you.
And I do validate what people say. Dragon Ball Z was not a good show. It was just an easy show to watch, and especially early on, because we were exposed to it early, that was the bar that was set for anime. We're like, oh, this is so good. But now that we have access to all kinds of anime, looking back, it probably wasn't the greatest anime.
I'm glad you brought that up because years later, I
Yeah.
might have been in college by then. And I saw it on YouTube. They had a few episodes that were still relevant on there. And I watched it and I'm just like, what? What? Like, my mind blew. I'm just like, it was still a very good looking kind of show because it survived the years. I'm still trying to watch it. I'm still trying to go through it because I still want to know what happens in the story. So, Sailor Moon, I'm trying so hard. All the episodes are on Hulu right now, and I'm trying, but
I'm not. I watched the Doomtree series, and that was enough
well,
for
you didn't
me.
like Sailor Moon to begin with.
But then again, I've lost a lot of my anime cred when I told my friends I've never watched Gundam.
I've never watched that either, or Outlaw Star. Those are the two.
Never
of the
watched Outlaw
OGs.
Star. Barely watched Cowboy Bebop.
I didn't watch Cowboy Bebop.
Never watched Berserk, the series. I may have seen a Berserk movie. I don't even remember. That's how bad it was for me. I don't think I've watched
I
Berserk.
started it, but it just wasn't my taste. He was a little bit too like He-Man for me.
Yeah. So all these like must-watch animes that give you anime cred, I didn't watch half of them.
I like Akira.
Acura, not the car. I haven't watched Akira in my adult life. When
It's
I
on
watched
Hulu.
it when I was younger, it was cool because I was younger, but it didn't leave a mark enough on me to go back and watch it.
It wasn't very fluid
Yeah.
story-wise, but it was just so incredible. Like the art style and
Yeah.
what was happening, like you couldn't take your eyes off of it. It was like a train wreck that you wanted to look away from, but you couldn't.
I guess watching the South Park parody of it when Rosie O'Donnell turned into the big Akira
Oh my
blob thing, right?
God.
It has ruined Akira for me, so I've never gone back and watched it. But maybe I should. Maybe I should, because that's what I've been doing. I've been revisiting things I thought I liked as a kid to see if I still like it. And there's been things that I used to hate that I like now, so maybe I'll revisit it. All right, so final question. Okay, final question. How's anime affect your life? Like your friends, your family, your profession?
God.
Like, because anime does take a toll for good and for bad on people's lives, you know?
Yeah. Like I said before several times, I am an only child. Didn't have many friends growing up. The only people that I had in my life that were with me growing up were my two male cousins, Eric and Justin. Watch that Pokemon video because we keep referencing it. It's a good one. But during the Pokemon era, me and my cousins, we were playing our Pokemon cards. We were doing the whole Pokemon thing. But shortly after Pokemon died out on TV and they kind of grew up and did their own thing, Pokemon stayed with me, and anime in general just stayed with me throughout my life.
Yeah.
So it went from Pokemon being cool to like, oh, why are you watching that? Like, why are you watching Cartoon Network? Why are you on Adult Swim? It was just one of those where it started off cool, but then it kind of got lame, and then it kind of everyone was at my school, and even my cousins were looking at me like, you're kind of lame. Like, this is stupid.
Damn.
We're already over that. Like, that's kid stuff.
Even your cousins, they were your ride or die Pokemon crew.
After my Pokemon crew died out and they got into sports and became men or whatever, yeah, they just didn't want anything to do with this world. But for me,
So am I not a man?
you know what I mean? You know what I mean? I mean, let's fix stuff. Let's play sports. Let's do this. And so when they
I
got
don't play
into
sports
that,
or fix anything.
anyway,
Not
we
a man.
know. So after they got into that, I just kind of just kept that whole fantasy world in my heart because they had each other. I didn't have anybody. So I just kind of kept that with me and kept the fantasy world with me. And it wasn't until I got into high school where I found other people like me who loved anime, who loved the nerd stuff and whatever. And it wasn't until then where I felt rejuvenated again. It's like, I can talk to somebody about this. I can go to Mitsuwa with somebody. Mitsuwa, Japanese market, had anime, manga, Japanese food, all kinds of stuff. I could do those things with those kind of people. I can go to Chinatown with these people and then just, drawing my manga in class and people looking over my shoulder like, you're drawing Goku. No, it's not Goku.
Everyone was Goku.
Everybody was Goku, either Goku or Pikachu. That's
Uh-huh.
all the anime that my classmates knew. And just going from that to being an adult and just going into the cosplay world, the convention world, and just becoming cooler and cooler and cooler to the entire world.
Hmm.
It's been a journey,
Yeah.
and it started off as something that us nerds used to do in our basements to now it's kind of mainstream.
Yeah.
And now you can get anime anywhere you want,
Yeah.
and so it's been quite the journey, and I'm so glad to be here, and I'm still so happy to be within this community
Yeah,
and
yeah.
culture and everything.
Same.
And I love it. It's a part of me now. It's not something that I will ever grow out of.
Hmm.
There's no such thing.
Right. Well, it definitely took a toll on me early on. It definitely did divide the path I was going down.
Hmm.
I was one of those kids, though I was like super smart, though I joked about not playing sports. I did have interest in it because my dad always encouraged me to. I had ran track in preparation to play football in high school. When I hit high school, it was kind of one of those like turning points.
Hmm.
Do I become a jock and play sports, or do I follow the weeb path? Well, obviously, fast forward to now,
Obviously.
I chose to be a weeb. I started making more weeb friends, which in turn turned off all my other normal friends. And it was a night and day difference. Like people that were willing to be my friends before they knew about my super weed life, I was just like, you're a nerd. Like,
Right.
we can't hang with you. We thought you're cool like your brothers.
Cool, meaning you're a gangster.
And pretty much like my life went left, and that followed me for years. I was known as the nerdy brother of that family.
Yeah.
That's how they would even introduce me. I would be at functions in the city. My brother's like, oh yeah, this is Renji, my dorky brother.
Aww.
And that stuck with me. And not gonna lie, it like really hurt my self-esteem for years.
My own family members, when I started going to anime conventions, they'd be like, "Oh, Shauna's going to go join the circus for the weekend, and
Oh,
we're never going to see
damn.
her again."
Yep, I would hear the
Yeah.
same thing. Like, oh, Renji's gonna go play dress up with his friends.
I know. It's like I was talking a different language to these people.
Yeah, I thought the turning point would be when I started meeting like hot girls, quote unquote, right?
Hmm.
I would post pictures of my friends online, and people would tell me, "Oh my god, hot girls like that go to these events." I'm like, "Yeah, but you're all nerds still. You just got done jizzing your pants over this girl I took a picture with.
I know,
That's
but
my
she's
friend."
still a nerd at the end
Yeah.
of the day. She doesn't
And-
matter.
It's still at a half and half. Some people have finally like, wow, this nerd stuff is cool, because now some of them have kids and their kids are in the cosplay, but then there's still a handful of people that want to be like, you still play dress up? I guess the biggest thing that anime has done for me is it's opened my eyes to a whole new world, a whole new society of people.
And through this culture, I met people who were just like me, who liked the same things as me, who made it okay to be a nerd.
Yeah.
And that's what I live for. I live for this whole thing because I grew up with this alone, and now I have something to hold on to and pass on to the next generation.
Yeah.
Because there's people like us. And that's, I guess, the best payout that I could ever think of.
Oh yeah, like I'm so glad like cosplay and con life is so mainstream now.
There's a place for us.
Yeah, there's a haven for people like us. Like I'll see these young kids at the con, and I'm just like, good for you
Yeah.
for coming out and taking a chance, talking to your parents into letting you come to this event. It's like, and good for the parents that bring their kids, because I've met parents and kids,
Yeah.
and it's like good for you for embracing who your child is and not changing them.
And to the parents listening to this, at least your kids are doing something positive. They're not out there joining gangs or joining the wrong crowds. This is something that they can hold on for the rest of their lives and make careers out of. It's something that will keep them out of trouble and keep them focused on something that's not
And they'll make lifelong
dangerous.
friends. Yeah.
And they'll find their place in this world. And I feel like that's so important because kids these days they're so lost.
Yeah.
And they don't have people to hold them up. And I feel like if you find that is the biggest payout that you will ever have in your entire life. Someone that tells you that it's okay to be this way.
To be yourself.
To be yourself.
Yeah. Wow.
We got a little deep there,
Whew,
but
again. Oh, shit.
but again, this whole community is what saved me as a kid.
Yeah, it definitely saved me as well.
Anime was my anti-drug. I couldn't afford drugs by the time I was
Yeah.
done with this whole anime thing and buying manga and DVDs and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. To all the parents out there, get your kids hooked on anime and cosplay, and they won't have any money for anything else. They will just save all their money to either buy cosplay supplies, buy cosplay, buy manga, or get to a con. They will have no money for anything else. You will have to force them to get out of the house. It's been a fun conversation.
It has. I love delving down this rabbit
Yeah.
hole.
Though this conversation was shortened for podcast form, we could probably talk about this all night, really.
Oh yeah.
Like, I had to shorten some of the things I really wanted to say.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, if y'all on these dates and y'all have that awkward silence, be like, hey,
What's your first anime?
hell, write down the questions I asked today and reuse them. I give you permission to reuse this conversation. Well, yeah, this podcast is coming to an end. Anything you want to promote real quick?
I have been doing a lot of my fashion lately. I'm actually wearing one of my original pieces today. If you guys are watching this on YouTube, I've been coming out with a new original handmade piece every week. It's going from sketch to cloth all in 1 week, and I'm putting it out, and I would love for you guys to check it out. The links will be included below. I hope you guys check it out.
But for the people listening, what's the social media site it's on?
So it's going to be on Instagram, Shana Mostella. I'll have a few of my pieces there, but my fashion line is called Mostella Couture.
It's guys on Instagram, right?
It's on Instagram, and
Okay.
it's on Facebook as well, Mostella Couture.
And just to specify, Shana is doing everything from start to finish. She's sketching it, she's sewing it, and we're doing the photo shoot for it. It's not someone else drew it, Shana sewed it, or Shana drew it and someone else sewed it. Like, it's all Shana from start to
Yes.
finish.
I do it the same way I do my cosplays, but it's my original pieces, and I would love for you guys to see it.
So yeah, check that out. If y'all just want to see what else we do besides this podcast, definitely check out these social medias. Anyways, with that said, thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode of the Shinobi Squad podcast. I'm your special guest host, Future Trunks.
And I'm Shana Mostella. Thank you guys so much.
I'm really fan service Renji. I'm just wearing a costume.
I think they know that.
Well, the people listening don't know that. I mean, I guess my voice sounds the same.
Yeah.
Whatever. See you guys next week.
Bye, guys.